Is live. All right, so here we are for week 9, EDUC 5000 Foundations of Instructional Design. Today we have Mr. Matthew Winters leading us today after a whirlwind tour of Utah. Hung out with Matt yesterday, less than 12 hours ago, 24 hours ago in St. George. Now he's back in Ogden and I'm back in Cedar, and I went via Las Vegas last night. I was lucky enough to go see Sting in concert. Tickets I bought in May of 2019 for a show that was scheduled to be May of 2020, and it finally got rescheduled for last night. So I will turn off my camera and close my eyes and take a nap and let Matt lead you guys through our review today.
Can we just all go do that, Clint? Is that okay?
We wanted you to sing. We wanted you to sing their favorite Sting song. Is what we wanted you to do.
You put it in the chat.
The air guitar and everything.
Put that in the chat. And I'll tell you if he sung it or not. So anyway,
okay. The Sting guessing game. I love that. Well, welcome everyone. As Clinton said, I've already driven like 5 hours today, so my brain is a little fried. So if I mess up or if you notice inconsistencies on the slide, which Clint has already pointed out one, it's like, where's Waldo? Go ahead and join us. So today what we're doing is we're jumping into week 9. We're talking a lot about where to this week and diving into that. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to be on a Nearpod today. So if you are on the slide or on a Canvas course, you should have nearpod.com/students and then the code. I'm going to pop this on there just so you can see it really quick. It's J78QD to join this live. And we are going to be playing a game with no prizes at the end. So the game itself is the best. So go ahead and join us there for that. So I'll give it about 1 or 2 minutes to get there. And if you're watching this later, you can go ahead and do this as self-paced and follow along with it, as well as do the game on your own time as well. I will have it set up for you doing that as well. Thanks, Clint, for putting it in the chat as well.
So I hope that link works. I'm in the activity. It's not like I hope it'll take people there, but if not, let me know.
Fingers crossed. But at least I'll drop the code again in the chat too, so you can copy and paste it. I'm going to pull it off my screen for just a second, see who we got in here. We got a couple people coming in. We'll give it just 1 or 2 more minutes to get everyone in there.
15 on the call, minus 5 instructors. So
yeah, we're still waiting for about 5 more then.
Although I'm in the slides too.
Instructors, feel free to jump in as well if you'd like to act as a student and play the game with us today for no prize. We would love to have you do that. All right, well, it's in the chat. We're going to just go ahead. We got 7 in there. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, Foundations of Educational Design for Educators, week 9. So first things first today, folks, just a quick quote. If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets, even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. And I think that's such a great quote, because especially around this time of year, we tend as educators to feel a little bit like we're not getting enough gratitude this time of year. November was always my hardest month of the year, I think, for a lot of educators as well. But remember, you are an educator and there are some hard things about it, but do it to your best of your ability. And there will be that praise and that gratitude that comes down the pipeline for you. And we're very grateful here at this class for all of you as educators in this year, in this class, and in this month. So if there's anything we can do to help support you in the class, if you're getting behind, please feel free to reach out. We know that, again, it's a tough year, and tough time of year. And so we just want to make sure you're feeling supported and getting through the course the way you want to. All right, a couple things to maybe recharge you here. I tossed this into the one of the requirements for the education courses that we're in is to go to a conference, and USET is coming up on March 15th and 16th. We thought we'd share this out with you really quickly. This is the actual to propose a presentation at USET. And Clint, who is going to be running the conference this year, and Matt Winters, who is going to be his second at the conference this year, would love to have you come present at the conference. So if you're interested, folks, go ahead and bookmark this on your webpage or come back to it. It'll be open tonight as a student run Nearpod, or go to uset.org/presenters. It's just right there. And you can fill this out. There's a lot of you, pretty much everyone in my class. I'm not speaking for every class, but in my class, you have so many good ideas about using technology, doing all sorts of things with your classes. Those would make for fantastic presentations at USET, let alone going there and experiencing it and recharging and experiencing some great gratitude with other teachers from the state of Utah. And Clint just locked down some great keynotes as well that we're excited to announce in the coming weeks. Clint, anything to add, because you are in charge of the event? So
just know that there is going to be a virtual hybrid component of the conference. So if you can't make the trip and still want to present, you can present virtually via Zoom, live, or pre-recorded. We'd like it to be live as much as possible, but yeah, or you can attend the conference virtually or join us in Provo. So lots of ways to connect with everybody else in the state at the conference.
Awesome. And in my class, I don't know if the other teachers will do this. I'll put this on the announcement for this week as well for what we're doing in the class. So you can link it there under announcements as well, so you can get into it. But I just thought it's a great opportunity. It's what turned me on in education in the state of Utah to really get where I'm at. And I think it's a great opportunity for many of us here in the state of Utah. So check it out if you're interested, even if you're just going to attend. All right. With that said, today is all about where to, engaging experiences, getting students excited about the learning process, but also making those relevant to your content area. So I wanted to start off with some modeling of that. So I don't know if anybody's ever played Time to Climb on Nearpod, but let's go ahead and jump into a Time to Climb. So you should see on your screen here in a moment, it'll load up. Hopefully, fingers crossed. There we go. Time to Climb Nearpod. If you've never done this, this is gamified learning. I am going to go with my favorite one, which I love, space. I'm going to turn off the sound because it does do that repetitious sound. What you're going to see is you're going to be able to choose a character on the next page, choose whatever animal you want to be. And today's subject is research writing, because I am an English professor at heart. So let's get into it here, folks. Continue. Choose your character. Got some penguins, lots of foxes. That's awesome. I think that's a sheep. Clint, I'm not sure which animal you are. Are you an alien?
I believe it's a nerdy turtle.
Nerdy turtle. All right.
Hard to tell with the hat on, but
yeah. Very cool.
I don't know.
Wait for about 1 or 2 more minutes, folks. Go ahead and get joined in. We got 7 connected. We have 12 people on the call, so feel free to jump in a few more. We'll give about 1 more minute. If you've never done Time to Climb, you can plug in your own questions and have the students do a quick learning activity while we're adding new people. I did this for Animal Farm, which was a really difficult book with my students when I was teaching ELA. And I would have my students do a quiz a week about the characters and the content of the book. And it actually really helped when I started doing that. And every year after that, I would do these Time to Climbs once a week with my students as kind of a formative activity. All right, here we go. We're going to start game. 3, 2, 1. So which of the following is a term for searching a word that is used anywhere in a record's description or title? Should see the answers on your screen. Pick the best one. All right. Got Nerdy Turtle on the front there. I think we already know that's maybe Clint. We got question number 2. Which of the following is a term for books written for research that gives broad overviews of topics? Which of the following is a term for books written for research that gives broad overview of topics? Nicely done. All right, 3, 2, 1. Question 3 out of 6. What is a primary source? What is a primary source, folks? Pull on my social studies skills there on that one. Five, four, three, two, one. All right. Question 4. What is a secondary source? Should have known it was coming down the pipeline. What is a secondary source? Nicely done.
Oh, man. Trying to go too fast.
Which of the following is a term for a system that organizes and stores large amounts of data? What is the following? Which of the following is the term for a system that organizes and stores large amounts of data? Nicely done, folks. And we're coming up on our last question. Whoever's that, I think it's a puppy dog, is in the commanding lead. Which of the following is a term for a creative work that is not protected by copyright and may be used freely? Which of the following is the term for a copy or a creative work that is not protected by copyright may be used freely? All right. So quick 3-minute thing really quickly there, folks, maybe 3-4 minutes. But now we have our leader. Are you guys okay with showing names to show who was our winner? All right, here we go. Derek, well done. Everyone give him an air high five really quick. Boof, good job. And Tersa coming behind. Eric, Tony, only instructor in the top 5. Good job, Tony.
I went for
All
speed. I messed up.
It's all good. Again, no prizes for it. But really what I wanted to show you guys really quickly is this is a quick engaging activity that is content related that you can do that actually is pre-built inside of Nearpod, which is a tool that every teacher in the state of Utah can use for free. So how I built this was I went into Nearpod, clicked time to climb, and added this activity with 1 click. And it had all the questions pre-made. You can make your own questions, but it's a fun, engaging way to see data from your students. And then I can go on the back end and see which students need help with different questions and ideas in the class. So you get that form of assessment, you get an engaging activity, and you do a lot of really fun stuff. So let's get into the meat of our class today. So a couple things. Number 1, this week you have chapter 9 for reading, planning for learning. Our discussion is, what does it mean for curriculum to be both effective and engaging? Because a lot of teachers tend to go one direction or the other. They've got an effective curriculum, but kids might not be necessarily engaged. I always think about Ken Robinson when he says the action sense of verbs. You know, you might be dieting but not losing any weight, that sort of thing. If you're teaching and nobody's learning, what's the point? And so we have to not just do effective learning, but we have to do engaging learning as well. And that's something like what we just did. We had an engaging activity that also effectively checked student learning to make sure that we could check for gaps in student knowledge and student work. The assignment is to do stage 3, which is page 5 of your learning plan. You're going to be doing an outline of minimum of 8 different experiences, which will develop over the following few weeks. And I'd love to hear some examples from instructors on that in the next little bit towards the end of the class about what they would expect from that. So teachers can get a better understanding of that as well. All right. So as we move into stage 3, we are encouraged to consider, perhaps in new and unfamiliar ways, the ongoing use of assessment as a key to improving learning. So we're looking at assessment from multiple angles, not just from that summative assessment, sometimes the state core assessment that we're always worried about as educators, but we're looking at that formative assessment, that daily assessment, to understand what's going on with students. And the goal is to plan engaging, effective learning. With that said, a lot of the questions that you're going to look at in the reading, things like, what do learners need? What are their given desired results? What is the best use of time spent in and out of the classroom given the performance goal? So considering what you want the students to do and what's the time spent in the classroom. What does a learning plan for understanding look like? How do we make it more likely that everyone in the class might achieve that understanding? Given our desired results and targeted performance, what kind of instructional approaches, resources, experiences are required to achieve these goals? How do the general characteristics of good design become more deliberate and woven into a design? And how does UBD concretely build upon our common sense? So a lot of these questions, they're pretty heavy questions. But I think one of the things that I'm noticing from my students' work, and I think this is something I noticed when I was using UVD pretty heavily in my master's degree, is that as we get deeper into from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3, we get more granular in our understanding of exactly what we need to do with our students. We're starting with that big idea, that big learning thing that might be small, a couple list items, but by the end, we're thinking about the individual learning events in our class and whether or not they're meeting the needs of that end goal. And so it gets a lot more granular. It gets a little bit more poignant in what we're looking at. So this chart explains a little bit more. You can see stage 1, stage 2, which we've already gone through quite a bit in this class. But stage 3, again, we're looking at those learning activities. We're understanding what our teachers are promoting, and are they promoting understanding and knowledge and skill? And are we engaging student interest and excellence? And we're going to be using the where to model, which you can see right here. It gives us a good rundown of what those are. And we're going to look at that more deeply on another slide here coming up as well. But this is a great chart to go, okay, I've got stage 1 and stage 2. And what did I do in those sections? Again, looking at that large central thing that I want my students to do at the end of the unit. And now we're working backwards to the individual daily, sometimes even like piece by piece, like maybe every 10 minutes you're checking in with students. That's a lot, but you get what I'm saying. We're getting a little bit more granular here. So again, for stage 1, we were looking at if the desired result is for learners to, then in stage 2, then you need evidence of that student's ability to, and all the learning activities need to. And then here are the things we'll look at: hooking students, engaging them, helping students learners understand, informing students about how the different ideas that they're doing in class are helping them to learn the larger subject matter, and providing activities and equipping learners with the skills that we need to do, or they need to complete the class. So where to is our big focal point. They give us some key considerations to help us build our activities, things that help us to get where we want our students to go. Again, I always think about road mapping in here. We have the destination, we have the large cities along the way, but now we might be planning out the gas station stops, or maybe we're going to have lunch, and really checking along the way to make sure we're doing well. So where to in the reading this week really focuses on, it's an acronym to give us some big kind of hold words to work off of. So again, the W ensures that students know where and the why of the unit. The H is the hook the students and hold their attention, which can be the hardest one, especially with the 8th and 9th grade students I worked with. Hooking them into Shakespeare and keeping them there is pretty hard. Equipping the students with necessary learning experiences and tools to get them to where they need to be in the class to achieve their performance goals. R is for rethinking, reflecting, and revising. Rethink big ideas, reflect on progress, revising their work. We want them to evaluate progress and self-assessment. One of the most important things that we can do as learners, I do this all the time as an adult, as a trainer, is assess and evaluate my own work, whether or not I think I did a good job and what I can do better the next time. And encouraging our students to do the same thing is incredibly important. Even if it's only for maybe a few points, or maybe for no points at all, having them evaluate their work is very important. Is it tailored to reflect individual talents, interests, styles, and needs? Are we personalizing the learning to help the student to get where they want to go, which is so important to help students realize or see themselves in the learning process and see that that's valuable to them. And O is for be organized, optimize deep understanding as opposed to superficial coverage. Are we just going through the motions and lecturing, or are we digging deeply into the optimized learning or deep learning that we're looking for? And so as we go through where to, we're considering again the granular pieces of the puzzle. Are we giving them the where and the why? Are we hooking them and holding them? Are we equipping them? Are we asking them to rethink, reflect, revise? Are they evaluating their work? Are we tailoring and helping them to tailor their learning? And are we organized in order to make all of this happen? And all of these are equally important in the whole process. And it's hard to consider every single one every single minute, but it is important to consider all of them before you start teaching that unit. And that's what you'll be doing this week. So backwards design, everything that we've been doing in UBD, where to represents a way of testing lessons and units rather than building a formula for them. So again, we're considering all these ideas, but it's not a mathematical formula. We don't have exactly everything sectioned off. We're hoping to serve as an analytic tool to check the elements of design rather than a recipe or sequence. And with understanding about design, it encourages, when I was doing it for my master's degree and when I was using it as a K-12 teacher, it really encouraged me to think through the whole process of the learning rather than just go in and hope that day I was teaching my students something. Of course, I still had those days, every teacher does, but if I was planning with UBD, I was really considering what my students needed, and it was never the same lesson, but I was considering the same things as I went through. We don't want to lose sight of the whole unit and the process. And in the end, the learning should be coherent and purposeful, meaningful, and enduring knowledge for the students. It should be focused on what the students need, and it should encourage them to have enduring and meaningful knowledge. All right, so this week, your goal is to outline and summarize at least 8 different learning experiences for your proposed unit. And you're going to include a short description and the where to connecting concept. So this is where I was hoping a few of the instructors could jump in and see how they've seen this done effectively on unit plans before. And I would love to see who would like to jump in on that really quickly.
Again, just for this week, it's an outline and a brief summary of what you plan to do, because the next 4 weeks, you're going to be actually building these learning activities and things like that. So we just want you to, again, figure out where you're going, where you're going to be at the end, and then, kind of fill in the blanks between now and the end of the class.
And each of the coming weeks, there's going to be a different activity you're going to focus on. So it's not just 8 activities in general. I think next week I filtered up. It's do differentiating instruction activities. So how can you differentiate? So those will be 2 activities. So I think for us to help you, maybe we need to list what those are going to be, so you can kind of get an idea of what those are. Because since you can't move ahead past 2 weeks, is it locked for 2 weeks out, right?
Well, yeah, they can see this week and the next 2. So.
Okay. So that should be enough. So it's not just 8 activities. There's actually specifics that you need to focus on with those learning activities.
Matt, if you have the course open, you could kind of go through and show the modules, the headings there.
Sorry, I was in the wrong course there for a second. I appreciate that feedback. I think that's something very important for everyone to hear. It's a summary this week, rather than we're diving into everything and then we'll fill in more down the line. And then thank you, Brandon, for clarifying on that as well. That was very helpful for me as
You're
well.
not locked to the 8 things you list this week. If you get down the road and you need to change it.
I have a comment. Next Thursday, school's out. Do we still have classes? A video chat?
Next Thursday is not Thanksgiving. Are you out for something else?
Yeah, I guess it's just my district thing. Okay.
Yeah, no, we'll have class, but we'll record it and post it as always. So
Okay. Can I share with you my where I'm thinking of?
Sure.
An example.
That'd be
So where are we headed? I was thinking of maybe showing examples. I'm still, focusing on my my stop motion with my students of the Coyote Tales. So should I show them what the district has, because it's from 1980s, and then show them what it can happen, by using other examples?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Like, okay, there's a problem here, like saying there's a problem. Is this entertaining or not? What they have, okay, how are we going to fix it? Okay. And so that can be like, how are we going to fix it? Do you have any suggestions on the how and hook? Do you think that could hook the kids? Okay.
Sure.
And then experiences, equipment, real and equip all students learning. Like for instance, what experiences do they have of doing stop motion, things like that?
I think that'd be great. And then also maybe asking them if they've seen stop motion as well.
Yes.
Talking about some examples there would be really helpful. So they have some equipment of this is my prior knowledge of stop motion.
Like Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Wallace and Gromit, which you can't go wrong with Wallace and Gromit.
No. And then okay, and then how will you students reflect, revisit, rethink? Okay. So maybe the rethinking is of how can they do it? How's some ideas? Or maybe introduce some coyote tales.
That'd be great. As well as having them kind of reflect throughout the process of maybe what skills do they still lack that they need to have, and what kind of holes can you help fill with their skill set. That can help both you and them to reteach, but also for them to re-engage and relearn the material if they need to.
Okay, and so how will students express their understanding? Now, we're going to be doing different steps because this is a long lesson, And so they have to, every time I teach something and they do it, they have to reflect upon it, right?
I think
Tony,
that would
are
be
you-
great. Yeah, no, I think that would be great. I think additionally, it would be something that they could document, whether it's in a Google document or a Google site, something where they say, this is the first step, this is the second step, this is the third, to show the process that their thinking process, their critical thinking of comparing and contrasting. What was it like in 1980? What's it like in 2020? Just something to be able, it doesn't have to, again, be deep and intricate, but just to be able to say, document, this is how my brain's been processing this.
Yeah, and I think it's important to document because we don't see them until like the next A day per se. So they see where they came from, now what they're going to do, and they can write notes saying, okay, next time in class we need to do this.
And and it depends the kind of things that you're looking for, but that's why I love Google Documents. If it's in 8 days between that, every other day you need to record something. And so it documents in the document when that was updated, and you can use that as I'm not saying you have to do that, but that's a tool that you could use.
Okay, and what I'm doing in my CCA class, I just started doing this, and I found this to be helpful, is having a shared Google slide, and each group they're doing a group project. Each group has a certain color, and they would screenshot what they were doing, and they can also record what they were doing, and then there's smiley face, sad face, question that they can slide into it. And so I was thinking maybe transferring that same idea, because it's been very useful because other kids can see what other people were doing as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that will also help with how students express their understanding and engage in meaningful self-evaluation too.
Yep.
That will cover that.
Yep.
And
I think one of the things you're tapping into right here is something that we just hit on a few minutes ago in class, which is you're hitting all of these on learning experiences, the learning activities, but it's not always the same percentage, and it's not always the same level as well. And I think that's a pretty important thing to keep in mind, because sometimes it's really in-depth analysis. Sometimes it's, hey, I got to drop a smiley face or a frowny face or a question mark, but it's still doing that same activity every time, or doing that same process every time, I guess would be a better way to say it. Sorry.
And I also noticed that you revisit everything over and over again, I think, in a project, in a unit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. I already know what I'm doing now.
Awesome. And I think that was helpful for everyone else as well to kind of hear that process work and think through it. I'm just going to go through this really quickly. So you can see week 9, here's your activity here. You're focusing on outlining the initial 8 lesson learning experiences, including a short description of the where to concept. And then, like Brandon brought up in week 10, you'll be able to see the materials for 2 of the targeted digital learning experiences. And then the next week in week 11, or sorry, week 10 and then week 11, the same thing, focusing on EL learners. So I would definitely take a second sometime before you complete this week's work and go look at week 10 and 11 and read through that material as well. And thanks, Carol, for putting that down there as well. This is a great little primer as well. All right. And then also remember, you are finishing page 5 of your UBD unit plan. And I believe that is it. If you have any questions, we are here for a few minutes and we would love to talk to you, or shoot us an email. And remember, take care of yourselves. And we're here to support and make sure you have a good experience in this class. So let us know if there's anything we can help with.
I'm just thinking about it. We're near enough to the end, and week 12 is important. So maybe we just ought to open up all the modules from here on out, so everyone has access to everything, because we've got a break coming up and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, we're crazy busy now.
yeah, we'll do that.
I think that would be a great idea, Clint.
Matt, well done. Thank you for leading us through today.
Absolutely. Happy to help. Sorry if I was a little bit tired, because driving 6 hours is always